Hey everybody, it's Trevor from the Left Coast Leafs podcast at the Regal Beagle in Kitsilano, Vancouver, British Columbia. We are wrapping up our draft weekend and Steve Dangle book signing, a wildly successful Steve Dangle book signing.
Absolutely.
Steve signed for 4 hours when it was scheduled for 2.
Without a break.
And he didn't go pee. He
Yeah.
drank beer and shots
like 4
and
or
didn't
5.
go pee.
Yeah.
I know. And so we have mad respect for Steve right now. And he may or may not jump on the podcast. So go ahead.
He's the face of Leafs
Just
Nation.
hold it up there.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve is definitely the face of Leafs Nation. He's a professional amateur. It's just
Yeah,
the best way to put
he
it.
really proved himself tonight.
Yeah.
Like I was super impressed with what he brought to the table. Yeah, like I said to you just a few minutes ago, he was as nice with the first person that he shook hands with as the last one. Yeah. So we'll go around the table, give us your name. And we didn't have a pre-production meeting, we just had a pre-drinking meeting. So this could go in a lot of different ways. So just give your name and we'll go around with the microphone.
My name is Mike. I'm a big Leafs fan, live in Vancouver. Have been listening to the Left Coast podcast for quite a while. And I reside at the Regal Beagle quite frequently for games. And we're all here today to see Steve and get together and talk about Leafs.
My name is Chase. I think I set my drink in the wrong place because I'm on a podcast now. Here we go.
Hey, my name is Sean. I'm also a big fan of the Left Coast Leafs podcast. I also don't know how I got here, but I'm on the Left Coast Leafs podcast. That's amazing.
All right, so we're probably gonna have some guests popping in and out. Christine, big kudos to her for organizing this whole event.
Absolutely.
So I went to the draft, and for me it was probably it was bigger for me than actually going to a game. Like I was in awe of all the GMs, the executives on the floor, because half of them were actually NHL Hall of Famers, and I'm old, so I know I've watched many of them play. And just that presence in the room, and then even like I was a bit smitten by kind of the media members that were there too. Like all of a sudden you're just like rubbing shoulders with Friedman, Drager, McKenzie, like the Chris Johnson. So that was pretty cool too. Like it had an unbelievable vibe.
I sort of noticed, like, because I did not go to the draft because I thought, well, okay, Vancouver's not picking first in their home barn. Leafs aren't even in the first round, so whatever, who cares? And then I saw the photos that yourself and Christine posted, and sort of like the buzz and like sort of the feeling that you guys are in the thick of it, and like you're like a hair away from being a part of everything that's happening. And I sort of regretted it after that. I was like, oh wow, you know what, that might have been worth checking out. Yeah. So it looks like you guys had a very interesting time.
Seemed like a super cool event, honestly. I saw a bunch of pictures on Twitter. It was just Kyle Dubas talking to everybody. And I was super hyped about like any potential trade. Oh my God, the picture of him double fisting the phones was amazing, and I was like super waiting for a trade to happen.
Good.
This is where I honestly feel bad because I went in the team store and they never checked for a ticket, and I went into the event and I watched the draft.
Because you're an employee.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not even because of that. It was just a straight up, they didn't have a gate check at that door, and so I went in the store and found myself in the building. And
Right on.
it was amazing.
That's cool. Right on. So Leafs didn't have a first round pick, as you stated. So they kind of they watched from afar on Friday, and then Saturday morning they kind of got the festivities kind of kicked off. I think the Marleau trade preceded the Subban trade.
Yeah,
I believe so. So Marleau and a first to Carolina for some late round draft picks, and he's off the books.
Yep.
And the likelihood is he's getting bought out by Carolina and signing a one-year deal with San Jose.
No way he's doing his victory lap in Carolina.
Yeah.
There's
So
not a chance.
your thoughts on buying him out and the impact that it might make on the team and the young guys that he was so beloved by?
A bunch of it. I mean, I'll do a quick thing on Dubas, first of all, who was, they didn't pick on Friday, but he sure looked active. He was talking to every GM in the damn league, it looked like. And then obviously stuff was in the works because early Saturday morning they got stuff rolling pretty quick there. So in terms of Marleau, what a fantastic 2 years he had with the Leafs. I think, we're one period away from making something happen this year where, we get past the Bruins in the first round. And then you're looking at the Leafs maybe having a pretty good run this year, and Marleau being a part of that. So he's certainly been a big part of the team, regardless of points totals and that sort of thing, and teaching them how to be good pros, as the phrase goes, that sort of thing. So it's sort of sad to see him go. I never thought he was going to ever see the third year. When the day they signed him, I thought they were going to buy him out, and then I think there's something in the contract where he wasn't allowed to be bought out or something. I don't really know for sure, but my understanding was Toronto couldn't specifically buy him out, like just outright, like they do any other player.
Is it an age thing?
Over
35 clause or something like that?
I don't know. It might have been something like that. I thought it was part of a no trade clause.
It stays on your books if they're over an age or something.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, so they couldn't buy him out outright anyway, so they had to do a dance. And man, I mean, Dubas pulled it off. It's as simple as that. If we have a good season next year, that pick they gave up is 28th, 29th anyway. So
It's
for what? For $6.25 million?
Frederick Gauthier,
Yeah,
maybe.
for $6.25 million.
Yeah.
Okay, good, sold. Yeah. So sad to see him go. It makes sense for him to go. He wants to go, so it's not like he's getting the boot and there's a sort of a sad thing to it. It's sort of good for everybody, and sure helps us out. We're probably going to keep Kapanen and Janssen now, so great.
Yeah, so to build on that, like he had moved his family to San Jose afterwards to it was kind of a foregone conclusion that he was going back to San Jose. So kind of happy to see that happened, and he got traded for a first round pick, which is kind of some would see as a big cost, but honestly, I think it's probably a good price to pay. Like we need that cap space, so it's good to see.
He's gone. He's gone. Is this live? He's gone. Absolutely.
Not sentimental about it at all.
No, why should I be?
I
What
wish
was-
he won a cup with us.
I didn't play mini sticks.
He's a good father figure, sure. But can the team move on from him? Absolutely.
I think a lot of players will probably miss him as he leaves. Like Matthews and Marner both posted some like really emotional tweets / Instagram posts about how they were going to miss him, and it seemed like he had a big impact on the team.
Yeah, profound effect for sure. Yeah.
So
I was, to be honest, I was sort of hoping before, the news kicked up that that they had sold their place and they're moving back to California and whatever. I was sort of hoping that once he retired, or maybe he'd retire this summer or whatever, they'd give him a job sort of in the office one way or another, maybe even assistant coach or, or whatever, something like that where he was sort of still in touch with the team. And that was sort of my hope. But it looks like the family's heart's in California, and so it is what it is. And he did great for us for 2 years, and he was worth every penny.
And I guess you can't discount that family aspect. I guess his family wanted to be back in San Jose, so it is what it is, right?
Yep.
Like I kind of said, like today, I think I actually tweeted it. Like the young guys, they wanted the money, they wanted all the money, and the cost was Marleau, so they're gonna have to say goodbye to their daddy. And move on. And
it's true. And lying in the bed you made.
The torch has been passed.
Yep.
Right? Like, you guys are now the leaders of this team.
That's you bring up a thing there. So, is there going to be a captain come game one?
Sean asked me this a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
I said no. As
You don't
long as
think so?
Babcock's the coach, I don't think he wants a captain.
Okay. Who is the de facto captain then?
No, I say, who is the captain? Who would be the captain then?
My captain is Morgan Riley.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Matthews has a little bit too much of a chip on his shoulder, and I think Riley has just displayed every single attribute.
Yeah. I think Matthews is fantastic. He's not the leader. He might be a leader, but he's not the leader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Mitch Marner would be a fantastic captain in 10 years from now. but he's not there yet. I think Morgan Riley is there now.
Yeah, like if you
of our choices,
if you want to take Babcock's like terminology and go with like scar tissue or whatever, like Riley has the scar tissue. He went through the bad times and he smiled through all of it, right? Like he kept his chin up, he kept improving. I think Babs had a lot to do with his development after all those bad times, and credit to Babcock for that. I think I think he's your captain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Honestly, I feel like we almost have kind of a curse of riches, you know, where would anybody be really disappointed if Tavares was the captain, if Matthews was the captain, if Morgan Riley was the captain?
We'd all get over pretty quick.
Oh, honestly,
even if who's winning us the cup? That's what I want to know. That's it. That's
Exactly. Even if Mitch Marner was the captain, like I feel like we have so many great choices that it's hard to nitpick about who exactly it's going to be. But we're in a good place where like you're not exactly searching for that person, but I feel like whoever we end up is going to be a good choice.
I have a question for you guys. Okay, so everybody is not everybody. A lot of people on Twitter, like obviously bitching about Marner's situation, whether they're for or against money, blah 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 blah, whatever. There's a lot of people that add in the argument, well, if they didn't get Tavares, they wouldn't have this financial blah, 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 blah. They're not wrong, but would you not have Tavares?
Well, Sean and I talked about this, like not normal podcast Sean, the Regal Beagle Sean, talked about this earlier, and it's a topic that we have to tread lightly on because we all just like high-fived ourselves for the entire summer after we signed John Tavares.
Yeah.
Right?
Canada Day is now John Tavares Day.
We can't. Yeah, we can't be hypocritical and now say that it was a mistake. But I think the reality is that he did his appearance out of nowhere. He did take other people's money. In a way, right?
Yeah. No, that's not
because
wrong.
Before they signed him,
yeah,
nobody said that this core group wasn't going to go to the finals one day. It was presumed the entire time that this was going to, without John Tavares, was going to.
I agree, but I think it was always
blocks.
under the premise that there's still a piece or two missing.
Yeah.
We're great now, but man, if we had one more apiece, boy, we could really be something.
Yeah.
And then
everyone assumed that was the back end.
That's true. That is
right?
That is true. Yeah. But if you score 7 goals a game, who gives a shit, right?
Well, that's what
like
that's what we want to see.
Yeah,
right?
Of course, and that's not realistic after game 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
Or if you're playing stretch pass, dump and chase hockey, like that. That mitigates some attack too. So
100%.
But so that's a kind of it is a bit of a lazy narrative, but there is some truth in that when we live in the reality is we live in a salary cap world, and that's a big we're giving a lot of money to a few players.
Yep.
And we'll find out if that's a formula for success.
I think the thing is the cap is changing in a way in a very short amount of time that makes it all confusing for all of us to get away from the way it was a couple of years ago. Not like 10 years ago, but like 3 years ago. Like it's changing that quickly. It's becoming an NBA system now. Players are coming from 18 years old and are being massively effective immediately, and they deserve a big contract immediately. And that isn't the way it used to be, And so when you look at like a blueprint of the Pittsburgh Penguins where, well, okay, there's your Matthews and Tavares right there. You got Crosby and Malkin, 1 and 2, 2 centers, paid max salary at the time that they were given the contract. Nobody has a problem with that. They won a bunch of cups and they're doing great. So why is everybody shitting on the Leafs now? And it's because we're paying them so much. Well, a whole bunch of stuff has gone up since then, like inflation, like natural occurring things like that. The league itself, the cap has gone up exponentially since then. But the way we pay people now is going up. And in typical Leafs fashion, we're the first team to get sort of screwed over by it. Like we always seem to get screwed. Yeah, and then we just sort of accidentally became the first team that gets the first real pinch in this new way of doing it. And so it looks like we screwed ourselves, but I honestly believe that it's just we're the first one to get there, and this is going to happen to everyone from now on. You're going to start getting a great player for 3 years, and then you're going to have to get rid of one of the 4 of them. You know what I mean? Because there's going to be so many great players all the time now.
Yeah. So what would you guys all think, like, as we struggle with the Marner thing here and we think the number is going to be 10.5, 11, Matthews money, if everybody else goes on team-friendly contracts, like if Matthew Tkachuk, if Sebastian Aho, if Mikko Rantanen signs for 9.5, like where does that kind of leave your impression of the job that Dubas is doing, or how Maple Leaf players approach wanting to stay Maple Leafs, like blue and white disease sometimes it's called, right? But like, what do you think of that?
Yeah, it's honestly tough, like, and you have to kind of move away what you're hearing from the media in general. Like, you have to kind of disparage what Darren Dreger is saying on a daily basis, because I don't really take a lot of stock in that. In terms of Mitch Marner, it's tough to equate what his camp is asking for in terms of the AAV. Like, as far as we're aware, they're asking for $11 million over however many years. And if you compare that to all of his comparables, like Mikko Rantanen, any other right winger in the league, it doesn't really add up. So it's kind of tough to swallow that number, honestly. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Well, this is the thing that sort of gets me about the whole thing is everybody's looking at what so-and-so is taken to be also a winger. You know, oh, well, he took a cut. He only takes 9.5 and blah, 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 blah. But nobody's referring to the other 15 people that went to a different team that paid them more.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Columbus, you got, was it Panarin and Bobrovsky, right? It's Panarin, right, isn't it? And
Panarin,
Bobrovsky,
yeah.
that are like, since fucking December, sorry if you don't, okay, since December have been like, basically, you know, between you and me, we're going to Florida, you know, a team that is significantly less quality, to be straight up. I mean, Columbus is not a perennial Cup favorite, but they're a perennial Cup challenger. And they are moving to a team that doesn't make the playoffs necessarily any year or very frequently, because they're going to get a Brinks truck. But nobody's talking about that when they're talking about Mitch Marner. They're talking about the one guy that happens to like the city he's in and took a bit of a haircut for it. Well, you know, there's all kinds of spectrum in between those two types of people, so maybe we should be thinking about that as well, you know? And, hey, Mitch Marner deserves a whole bunch of money. Like, I'm sorry, but he does. He's a great player. So, you know, I mean, yeah, it's not great for our cap, but he's a great player. So.
I think we can all agree that Mitch Marner deserves a bunch of money.
It's just like,
you know?
Twitter knuckle draggers. They're like, oh, Mitch Marner only got 22 goals last year or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but he did a whole bunch of other really great stuff, you know.
It's, I guess it's
something he wants to be a Leaf. Remember the days when nobody wanted to be a Leaf?
I totally remember that. It was really painful.
This guy was born to be a Leaf.
Oh, jump in.
At the same time, that's leverage that the team can use, right? Like, I mean, I'm a Leafs fan. I'm not from Ontario. They know that this kid's from Ontario. They can use that against him. Like, this is your childhood team. This is where you want to be. Like, take your $9 million and shut up about it. You're gonna be fine, right? Like,
yeah, I guess it's from Mitch Marner's perspective. Like, you have a lot of leverage, right? Like, you are a 95-point winger. Is that his total for last year?
Around there, yeah.
94 points. Yeah. Like, that's fantastic for a winger.
On the second line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, yeah, but you know what I mean? I mean, like... Yeah.
Whatever the line ends up being. I guess I find it frustrating that the, you know, you have a lot of comparables at that right wing position. Like, you have Nikita Kucherov, who had 125 points. Is that correct? At that same position, and he just signed a UFA contract for $9.5 million. If I'm...
Who would you rather on your team?
Is that honestly, if they're Possibly Nikita Kucherov, but like, you know what? He's a little bit older, so you're kind of talking about like future potential. So maybe Mitch Marner does have 95 points in the 125 points in the future.
I mean, what's
That's
Mitch
something
Marner
you have
gonna
to
be
think
like when he
about.
can grow a beard, you know?
I mean that's totally
Like,
true.
God help us all, especially the goalie. Yeah. It's like me. I can still barely grow one.
The
I'm
Leafs
in
are
my
in a
30s,
tough
so-
position now where they're kind of caught in the middle, where you're at the crossroads between teams deciding on a contract for a player based on past performance.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, a lot of RFA
Looking to get paid
contracts,
on the
a lot of RFA contracts are being decided based on future performance.
should
What am I
happen.
gonna
Yep.
give to you in the future?
I'll say about Kucherov though, right? He plays on the best team in the league.
That's
by miles.
that's totally true.
So, okay, you could add, so that adds to his capability to play and his point total and all that stuff. But also, it adds to his desire to take a haircut. He plays on the best team in the league, and he plays in a no-tax state. So, 9.5 to him is probably still more than Mitch would make at 11.
Yeah, but see, what is Mitch looking for? If like, let's say all the sort of the stories that he's wants to get paid to prove a point, like, do they care about the tax, the before tax number? Because
No.
like if he was going to Tampa, would he say, oh, but I'll take less because no tax, or he just wants the number posted? Like I feel like he just wants his desire to not be overlooked as that small guy anymore. He wants the number posted as opposed to what his take-home pay is going to be at the end of
My
the day.
personal belief about Mitch is that he doesn't want any of that shit. He's still so much of a child in a way, honestly, that he's just everybody else is doing the thing, and he's just sort of along for the ride. I don't think he cares like in that level, like, oh, I need to be Austin Matthews money. I don't think he has that ego. He just doesn't come across that way. I don't think that's it. I think it's just he hired that Spitfire agent, and that's what that guy's going to do, and so he spreads the shit through the media, and here we all are, all yelling at each other and what he's worth and blah, blah, blah. I don't think Mitch is actually personally invested in getting that extra $500,000 or whatever. I think he's along for the ride because he's still sort of a kid and sort of just taking a back seat. Oh, my dad's handling it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Paul Marner, right?
Yeah, right? So, I mean, I don't know. It just, that's the way it comes across. Obviously, it seems like it comes across to everyone that way, but...
Yeah, same guy. And in terms of his agent, honestly, I don't think that Marner wants that type of money as well. Or like, I don't think
cares.
Cares.
Cares is
I don't think
probably
he's
the word,
pushing for that. Like, I need
Yeah,
$11.6 million.
Yeah.
Some shit.
Like,
I
Mitch
think that
Marner, if he stays a Leaf, will never pay for a steak again in his whole fucking life.
No, and like
Ever.
that's the draw about playing in Toronto.
know,
like
so-
if you're a hero in Toronto, you
doesn't
play
even
out
have to
you
win the
play out
cup.
your
Look at Matt
contract.
Sundin.
You play out your contract there, and you can sign autographs for forever. There are a couple of past alumni for the Leafs that, they sign autographs here and there, and they make tens of thousands of dollars. That's it's a pretty good living. So I don't think that Marner, like, I want to believe that he doesn't really he's not really worried about that AAV. I guess I worry about his agent and what he is gunning for, I guess. And we saw the same story with Johnny Gaudreau. We saw the same story with Athanasiou and Detroit, and it was kind of the same story.
He's going to play in the KHL.
It was it was the same
Really?
story the entire time. Like, I'm not going to play for you guys. I'm going to play for the KHL.
I'd
and-
ratly go shovel in Siberia than play for Detroit for like $3 million or whatever.
Exactly. So I hope that it all works out by the start of the
Yeah.
season.
My daydream moment is that Mitch Marner's going to get finally fed up one day that it's getting this crazy and just be like, no, okay, let's just boom. Do this.
I totally hope
Nylander
that's
did
the
that,
case
right?
as well.
I have two sons just like a couple of years older than Marner is now, and like if I was in there, if like they would have told me to fuck off. Like they would have told me to get out of their business and went into Kyle Dubas's office by themselves and just done this, right? Like, so I don't know if there's a threshold or how. That's why I wonder how compliant or complicit he is in this. We want to think he's not, but he has every opportunity to go be his own man. And like, I know these kids, they have a ton of freaking confidence they wouldn't be where they are. Like, is his dad that much of a, like, is he that heavy-handed that he can't do that to his old man? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think that. Oh, sorry. Do you want to go?
Oh, just real quick. Do any of us know what it's like to grow up since you're 14, where every moment of your life, people are aware of your presence and your, you know what I mean? Like he didn't grow up to be a man like we did. It took me to my 30s to be a man.
Yeah.
He is in a completely different world. Like, he may, you know, I mean, look at Michael Jackson, never became a man. Like, you know, and I don't mean that insulting. It's just true, you know, because of the way his popularity shaped his life. So how is Mitch Marner supposed to grow a pair if he doesn't, you know, slog at McDonald's for 3 years, like, or whatever, like, and that's not a slight on him. It's not his fault. It's his talent afforded him that position. So when people are like, well, why doesn't Mitch Marner just grow a pair and be like, no, fuck you, I'm taking 10 mil, I want to be Maple Leaf forever. It's like, he probably doesn't have it in him to do that because he's scared out of his tree and he doesn't know what to do and he doesn't want to piss anybody off. He probably just doesn't want to piss anybody off.
That's a deeper conversation about the cost of hockey too. Like,
that's very
it's
true.
So expensive.
That's for another podcast, kids.
For sure. And like, it's if I could just jump in, it's really tough, honestly. Like, I'm 27 and I still like talk to my parents about like this and that and whatever like career decision I want to make. So I can imagine that as how old is Mitch Marner? 21?
Yep.
As a 21-year-old guy, like, I could totally imagine him looking to his parents for like guidance on this. So if they're saying this or that, or you should like hold out for like the biggest contract possible, that's totally fair. Like, nobody can really disparage the guy for that.
If you've trusted your dad for 20 years of your
Oh,
life,
totally. Yeah.
why would you stop now?
Why exactly?
Based off of what? He's clearly looking out for your best interest.
Exactly.
You know, and maybe in a harmful way, but how would you be able to differentiate that?
In the inverse, he trusts you to the point where you're going to make this much more than the average player, and it's a whole.
Exactly. So I understand where he's coming from. I guess I just hope that like he is looking around and he sees the disparage between what his agent is asking for and maybe what the market value is.
Well, hopefully Steve's open letter to Mitch. Did you guys read that the other day?
Yeah.
Hopefully that caught him.
I hope
Mitch
he
is
read
pretty
that.
internet savvy. I think maybe you might have saw it. So
I hope he read.
Maybe that'll do it.
I hope he read that letter as well. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess we should wrap this up, guys. Unbelievable event. The draft was really good. It exceeded my expectations. And I love that Boston got the biggest boo in the building. The only thing I feel bad about is that they were booing Neely so hard that I don't think the kid that they drafted even heard his name.
Yeah, that
you know,
was.
so that kind of sucks in a
Yeah.
way. But you know what?
But, you know,
we're
he's
going to be
playing for
booing.
Boston,
We're going to
so
be
fuck
booing
him.
that kid in a few years anyway. So fuck him.
Exactly.
Right?
That's right,
So hey, thanks for jumping on, guys.
Yeah.
Glad
Thanks
we
for
could do
having
this.
us.
It was a really great event. I know you helped out a lot and kept Steve hydrated.
Yes,
he
hydrated.
He stood
That's
the
it.
entire time, and it was a really fun time. And I'm gonna get back here again soon. We'll do this again. So go Leafs, go!
Yeah, you know it. Cheers.